Good morning, adventurers. My name is Ben, and welcome to a morning show where I sit around, drink some tea, and talk about D&D. First up for T&D today, we have the Give Me Cookie Gotcha Cookie mug that I got for my fiance earlier this year, last year. I don't remember exactly when I got it for, but it is a lovely little mug that for a bit that she really likes from New Girl. Inside of it, we have the Honey Lemon Ginseng green tea with white tea for smooth taste. This is a really good, like, lighter tea. I don't actually know if there is caffeine in it, but it has very little caffeine in it if there is caffeine in it, because it is green/white tea, which has a much lower caffeine content than like a black tea kind of thing. So that's all very well and good and exciting. But getting into what we're actually talking about today, I actually missed this earlier in the week because I wasn't paying attention, because I'm bad at stuff sometimes. We're talking about the Dragons of Stormwreck Isle, which is the most recent starter set, essentials kit, etc., whatever title you want to give it, that has been released for 5th edition. So this is going to be a short one, obviously, because it's not a very long adventure, nothing like that. But this is, it is the newest iteration in the whole let's get people playing thing on the mass market. You can buy it at Target. I think you might be able to buy it at like Walmart or any other big box store, really, or you can get it straight from Wizards, or I'm sure that your local game stores carry it. The only one I know for sure is Target, because it is what reminded me of the fact that this exists now. So we're going to talk about the adventure. We're going to get into it a little ways, and we are going to sort of like, not necessarily rank it against the others, but compare it a little bit to the other ones. So let's go ahead and let's dive straight into it. I don't have the physical copy on me right now because I'm not always the most intelligent, and I didn't think to buy it when I saw it in the store, but that's not really the point. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to get into it. I'm going to be looking at the D&D Beyond version of it, which I do also have, just so that I have something to go with here. So first and foremost, this is, like I said, a very short adventure. You go up to level 4, really. You start at level 1, go up to level 4. It is an introductory adventure. That's kind of the whole point. I assume that the box set that it comes in comes with the same stuff that the other ones did, which are pre-generated character sheets, blank character sheets, dice, etc. The stuff that you need to just sort of sit down and start playing the game. Primer on the basic rules and all of that. But I don't have that box in front of me right now, so I can't really just like dive in with that. So I'm going to assume that they are pretty much identical to the other ones that have been published in the past, because that is what makes the most sense to me, quite frankly. But looking at the actual adventure, it is broken down into 4 different adventure chapters, with the sort of like prologue area that is the running the adventure, kind of like setting the stage for you, and a couple of appendices that are magic items and creatures, as well as credits at the end, obviously. But this is a quick, honestly, more like magazine-size adventure as opposed to a full-blown book-size adventure. So there isn't a whole lot to it, because it's really just to like get you in the door, get you started playing. I want to say the thing retails for like $20 or something like that. So it is what they are attempting to give you to get their hooks in on you. The story of the game itself, I'm not gonna like dive into spoilers on it, but also it's a pretty basic adventure, so it's not anything that is too overly complicated at the end of the day, because it really is only up to level 4. But the idea is that the characters are going to visit this island where there's been a lot of dragon activity through history, and there's a feud, as per D&D lore, between a sect of chromatic dragons and a sect of metallic dragons that has been going on for a very long time. It is set up so that the players will likely try to ally with the metallic dragons as opposed to the chromatic dragons, because that is what D&D lore has decided is the good and evil on it. But it does leave it open enough for that. But because it is just contained to the island, it is actually kind of a nice little sandbox area for a DM to kind of try out and play around in, if that is something you are looking for. There isn't an easy way off the island that doesn't involve literally hopping on a boat and like sailing back across the ocean. So it does provide less of an opportunity for your players to just like go in the wrong direction by too much, because if they keep walking along the coastline, eventually they're going to come back to where they started and probably pass whatever it is you were trying to direct them towards anyway. This one is interesting to me. I should have checked with the other ones before I sat down and talk about this one, but this one starts with combat. And I don't think the other ones do. I think there is more of an introductory period, a little bit more like exposition. But this one, it recommends that you know, have your players introduce themselves, have them like talk to each other and get stuff going, and then it throws you straight into zombies, which is interesting. It is an easy first encounter. I want to say it's like 2 or 3 zombies against a party of like 4 level 1s, and so while there's not anything particularly threatening about that, it is still threatening enough because you're level 1. And it actually has a contingency for if the zombies actually manage to kill the players. If they put them all down, then the leader of the metallic dragon sect comes in, takes them, and saves them. From there, you really do just sort of spend your time exploring the island, exploring the history of the island and all of the things associated with it. I'm not going to go into too much of it in case people are watching this and want to play it. But just know that there are a bunch of like random hidden little things on the island that you can go get yourself into. Honestly, quite frankly, more than I was expecting for a basic adventure like this. I expected this to be a much more like linear kind of thing, but it's not all that linear, really. At the end of the day, it is, but it has plenty of little offshoot paths for you to be able to explore. There are a surprising, I'll say, number of different enemy types that you can actually run into, different NPC types that you can run into, even though ultimately you are interacting with the dragons and kobolds of the world here. This is a really sort of fascinating little adventure here. I don't know necessarily that it holds up too terribly, like, it holds up perfectly fine. I don't know if it is, like, quite as awesome as, like, Lost Mines of Phandelver. That one has, you know, a lot of love for a very good reason. It's really, really phenomenal. But I know that there was a decent number of people who are not super happy with Icespire Peak. And I do think that this one I like this one personally a little bit more than Icespire Peak. It might be because the storyline does not have a solid ending. It has a kind of ambiguous ending. It has an ending that could like flex a little bit one way or another. It allows you to make more of a morality choice towards the end of it, as opposed to it being a congratulations, you have helped the metallic dragons take over the island and have locked away the chromatic dragons forever. That is an option, ultimately, probably. If you play the game right, I guess. But the story sets itself up to have a more morally gray decision-making process in there, which I am a fan of. I do like the fact that D&D has kind of shifted towards that, especially recently. I think that it's a really fantastic tool, essentially, for these stories to be told with, because when it's just good versus evil, it's not always the most satisfying story in the world. And it's nice that they are going to present this to the brand new players, the new DMs, the et cetera, as like here is this option. This is something you could do if you wanted to. And so I do really like this one. I think I like Phandelver more, but I think I like this one more than Icespire. I'm not positive, though, because I did not go back and reread the other ones, if I'm being entirely honest, before this. So I'm working off of memory here. But I did read this one through, and I enjoyed it all the way through. I really did. I think that Wizards has done a very good job with these short adventures, like these contained little guys. They do a good job of sort of giving you a flavor of all of the little things that you could be doing in a D&D game, just to like whet the appetite and get you rolling on that one. And so I definitely think that this one is worth checking out. I think that if you are trying to get people in the game in some capacity, this is absolutely a phenomenal way to do it. I think that this is ultimately going to be a product that is looked back on as we go out of the 5e era. I think that this is obviously probably going to be the last of these starter set updates, but I think that this is going to be looked back on favorably, because these kind of things are what a lot of people's first experiences with D&D are going to be, and I think that that's important. I think it's worth at least familiarizing yourself with, so that if you do come across these people who had this as their first experience, you can interact with them, you can discuss with them. If you've been playing for 40 years, you're like, God, why would I want to do that and have to talk to, or not have to talk to, have to deal with an adventure from levels 1 to 4, honestly, I would do it more than anything else for the people who are going to be using it as their jumping off point. The starter set and essentials kit are actually harder to come by after new things have been published. So there are going to be less people moving forward that started with Phandelver, and going to be more people moving forward that started with Stormwreck Isle or Icespire Peak. And so I think there's always merit in just having the knowledge of these things on hand. Plus, you never know when you're going to need to just like break out a quick little game, just run it for some people. People just want to mess around and have fun, be kind of dumb. Because these games, these early games, these smaller games have lower stakes, quite frankly. And it's nice to be able to just have a module that is well set up for you already. And I think that this one does. It does offer some like hand-holdy bits. Like in that first encounter, there's a note on there that says, helpful reminder, undead fortitude. And it reminds you that undead fortitude exists for a reason. And so there's little things like that that you can just kind of skip past if you know what you're doing. But if you don't, it's a really useful tool, and I think it's worth having. So that is my long, rambly explanation for why I do think that this is a book that's worth getting. I honestly have the other 2 sets already. I am planning on purchasing this one in like hard format as well. And I'm going to make a little like series box for them so that I can have them all in one place and they don't take up so much room, because I think that they're cool. I think they're a fun way to just get going. And honestly, if you have like kids or something like that you want to start playing, these early adventures, these smaller adventures, are the ones that are a great jumping off point, because it encourages critical thinking and problem solving without having the stakes of like a god trying to end the world or something like that. It's a lot of fun, I think, and the seeing how these are written tells me that we're still understanding how to target these newer audiences. So that's a really nice thing in my mind as well. Moving forward from that into our streams and shows for today and this weekend. In no particular order today, we have Mayhem D&D, Off the Rail, Ox Ventures, Just Roll With It, The Strings of Fate, Rolling with Difficulty, The World of Low, and The Crown DM, and Coming Together Naturally. Tomorrow, we have Dice Funk and Strange Hungers, and then Sunday we have Super Idols, Roll For Your Life, Grinning Griffin, Dungeon Drunks, Library of Nightmares, The Chaos Brigade, Rise of the Forsaken, Chromatic Dice, Strawcast, High Rollers, and Tabletop Notch. Again, let them know that I sent you, because again, someday somebody's going to say something to me about it, and I'm going to think that it's very funny. But until then, I'm just going to keep asking you guys to do it. So that is everything I have for you guys. I'm sorry this was a shorter one. The fact that this was being released totally slipped my mind, and it's not a particularly long book. But I had a lot of fun reading it. Thank you guys so much for making me part of your morning routine. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much in particular to my patrons. You guys are the ones that make this show possible. If you're interested in becoming a patron, check out the link in the episode description. We made it through week 1 of season 4, guys. Woo! We did it. Yeah. But with all that said, don't forget, everybody, drink tea, play D&D, and keep on rolling.